Okay, so this video might be a little short, and it is not going to be a full tutorial for part 6. And the reason for that being is because I spent 5 hours yesterday recording and making everything, trying to get this, because it's a pretty major part of this stadium, done. And I finished it in my editing software, but I didn't have enough storage. So I was like, okay, I'll delete the extra videos that are saved in my gallery that I no longer need, right? And normally that works. I delete those because it's saved and edited already in my editing software. And so it should just save to my photos. It didn't, because it said that the photos are no longer there and it's trying to download them. But I deleted them permanently, like off of my cloud as well, because I was like, I need storage, because it was a 36-minute long video. So that's why I'm giving you this type of video. So I'm sorry. I hope that you guys can understand this and that I'm able to explain it well enough for you guys to be able to do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments section, or if you are you able to? I think you can message me like on TikTok, right? At Jake Jones Stadiums. You can message me there if you have any more questions or want to share anything like what you're doing with your stadium. But yeah, so let's start with this. Again, I'm sorry, it just was this crazy stupid thing that just happened. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Okay, so as you can see, I have the stadium here, all the lights, and I had added on all of the legs. It ended up looking really cool. But yeah, like I said, the video is not able to save. So I will be showing you guys how to make these pieces and these and the orange bits. And in the video I made, I showed you how to glue them on, but since they're already on, I can't just redo everything and show you how to make it. Luckily, I still have the cutout piece that I used, and there should still be some measurements on here for what to do, and I will try to walk through what you need to do. I won't be able to physically show you, but I can help guide you, I guess. That makes sense? Yeah, so let's start with these L-shaped pieces. Okay, so this is the big piece of cardboard that I used to cut everything out of. You will need 4 of those L triangular shaped pieces in total. You will need 8 of these weird curved pieces, but if you can, try to mirror it, it just looks nicer. And then 4 of these, what shape is that? I don't know, a cowbell? Kind of looks like a cowbell. But anyway, so I will try to explain how to do this as best as possible without any actual visuals. So to start, you will want to make 2 6¼ inch lines connecting at a 90-degree angle. And then from there, from the one end, you want to go out, crap, I think it was like 2½. Let me just double check. Yeah, so you want to go out from that 6¼ point, another 2½ inches, and then go down 1¼ inch to about here. And then from that point, draw a whole line that is 1 foot long to this point. And then from there, try to curve a line connecting from the end of the 6¼ mark to this foot long mark. And then back to over on this side, go down another 1¼ inch, draw a line that is 10 inches, and then, like you did to this one, connect it to the foot long line. However, instead of curving it inward like the last one, curve it outward, because that will make this piece right here. Okay, and then you basically have to just do that on the other side as well. Just kind of mirror it sideways. Okay, and so then once you have 4 of those cut out, if you used cardboard that has that like waxy kind of like print on it, like if you got it from, I don't know, say a tower fan, and it has this like shiny coat thing on top of it. You won't need to put primer or anything on top before you put paint on it. If I don't have something like this that I'm using as the top part, I will use like just put on a regular a regular layer of Mod Podge or clear coat just to seal up the pores in the cardboard, because most of the time if you use very porous cardboard, the paint ends up just soaking into it and not sitting on top. So if you are using just plain cardboard like this, I recommend spraying it with a layer of primer or clear coat, something to just kind of help seal in the pores of the cardboard before you actually start to paint it. Okay? Then, once you have those painted white and then, or not white, but primered, you then paint them blue. I used the color Brilliant Blue from Rust-Oleum. You can really use whatever color you want, doesn't really matter. But if you were trying to do as close to mine as possible, I use Brilliant Blue. Then, once you have those painted and dried, forgot, paint the underside too, because you can see underneath it at certain angles. So I painted it both sides. What I'm trying to say is, after all that, after they're painted and everything, my goodness, there's so many hot glue strings. You then will want to cut right down the middle, all the way through, okay? And the reason for this is so we can have that like sloping inward angle. So cut it, then take a 2x2 piece of duct tape and tape it back together underneath, okay? And then you can also glue them together to help them stay. You can help them stay together, because with duct tape, they can still like flop around and kind of bend, but you just want it to be able to mold and shift slightly like that, okay? That makes sense? Now let's do a more complicated part, these red kind of X looking things. I know you can't really see that it's an X, but it crosses. Okay, so these kind of arrow looking things will make those X red cross section pieces. What I did to start off with this is I made a line that is 3/4 wide, long, whatever, I don't know. And then from this top corner, I drew a point all the way to over here. How long was that? Darn it. I drew it on the piece before I cut it out, and it's not here anymore. I need to remeasure that. Okay, so from this point here, all the way over to this corner is 6.5 inches. So I would make make this line, then from this point, make a longer line that is 6.5 inches, okay? And try to kind of eyeball it and curve it inward at this much of an angle. I know these pieces are kind of complicated, you might have to do multiple, but they shouldn't like be half circles, they should slope like this. But then once you have a curved line connecting from over here all the way to 6.5 inches this way, from that point, you will make another line that is 1 1/4 long. And then from this point to this point again is 5 5/16. And you basically just kind of fill in from here over here with that same type of arching slope. And you need to do that basically 8 times. Okay, so once you have those cut out, you don't really need to paint them. I mean, you can. I mean, you don't need to paint them with any primer. What I did was I covered them with blue Scotch tape. I wrapped it just all the way around because of how they're poking out. You could see this gunk and stuff, but because they were cut at a curved angle, it looked really gross and weird, and I didn't want that. So I covered them with painter's tape. You could just use red duct tape or any other color duct tape and then paint it if you wanted to. I use this because paint sticks to it a bit better. So then once I had them all covered in tape, I then cut off a small bit about that long. It was about 1 inch to 1 1/4 from one of them. and then glued them together, cutting at a cross. Is there one that you can see a bit better? Oh, there is. So like that. You guys see what I'm saying? So I cut this one in half. Well, not in half, but I cut a bit off of that and then glued them together so that they made that much of an angle. Then once I did that, I painted them all red. Okay, so for these cowbell shaped things, wait, did I call those yellow or did I say orange? I can't remember. Anyway. So for these shapes, I started off making a line that is 2 1/4 inch long. And then from the middle of that line, I went up 3 3/4. And then I made a tiny line that is 10 16th inches wide. Okay. And then I went down from that corner an inch. Okay. And then I started connecting from that inch long line to the bottom, sloping it outward. And I did that 4 times. Then for those, once you have them cut out, you want to do basically the same thing you did with the blue parts. Just cover them with a layer of primer, unless you're using that shiny stuff, and then cover them in orange. Now to actually add all of these pieces on, I first connected the orange and red cross-section pieces together first, just because they're smaller and don't require as much effort to put on. So what I did was I cut off that inch-long piece from the orange bits, and then I cut the corners off of the remaining pieces to connect them through. I don't know if you can see that, but I glued the inch piece that we cut off underneath these red bits. It's kind of difficult to see, but it's there, trust me. Can you see it on this one? Oh yeah, you can. It's right in there. Then I cut off the corners of the remaining orange bit and connected them to the middle, okay? Then, once we had those pieces connected together, it was time to put on the blue pieces first. Yes, I put these blue pieces on first, but I connected these two. I didn't actually apply them to the stadium though. So what I did with these blue pieces, the L's, triangle things, was why can't I think of the words? I cut off some of the corners just to fix it to like make it fit to the rounded shape of the stadium. I tried to line this point up as much as possible with this point between the red lines, so it'd be like centered into the section of the stadium and kind of lining up with the lights that it's supposed to be in right here. So once I did that, my goodness, I swear if that bird starts squawking at me again, I'm gonna lose it. Then I glued them on and used a lot of glue. This step, just applying these legs, might take a couple hours because you need a lot of hot glue, and if it's hot outside, the glue does not dry quickly. And because there's so much of it, it takes a lot longer to dry because it's just heating everything all up at once. But yes, so I glued those on, and then from there, I connected these pieces into the middle and just glued them on top. And then once I had the red pieces in, I folded the orange piece slightly until it connected with the stadium. So when you glue this on, it's not supposed to be bent yet. It's supposed to be sticking straight up. Then you fold it to stay to the stadium. And yes, my glue job looks horrible right now. I definitely will need to go back and touch things up. And there's so many strings, don't worry about it. I'll clean it up before the final product. But yeah, so that is attaching the legs. Underneath, I actually added some support. Here, let me show you guys. Okay, so because my stadium was kind of wobbly because the sled underneath was putting a lot of pressure on this cardboard circle, it was starting to make it slope and making it just kind of rock, kind of like a zero-G stadium, which isn't really good for burst bays. So I added on some supports, not only to help level it out, but also to keep these sturdy. So what I did is I just cut out pieces of cardboard that went from this far in on the circle to until it hit the blue part, okay? Then I put a piece of glue here, one on that little orange bit. Oh, tape's coming up. And then more on this blue piece. But that alone was not enough to keep it down, so I needed tape, which will also help with stability and help it not move as much because duct tape is kind of just like rubber, so it adds a lot more friction. At least in a stone floor garage, it does. But yeah, so that is what I did to that. It works pretty well. In the next video, we will be adding on the side detailing for part 7. So that should be fairly easy. We'll be adding that on and then painting another detail on top. Yeah, so once again, I am really sorry that my original video did not work out and that it's not a full tutorial. I know it is probably a little confusing, especially because these are confusing pieces to work with and a little difficult to try to just eyeball. Like, I know even though I'm a perfectionist and pretty good at copying things from what I see and putting it into the real world, copying a tutorial without a full demonstration is kind of difficult. So I'm sorry that my software is being really freaking stupid and not allowing me to get the actual video for you guys. If I do actually get it to work, I will upload that one as well. But for now, you'll have to do with this kind of short thing. Again, you can ask me questions in the comment section. Shut up. Or you can message me on TikTok at Jake Jones Stadiums, assuming you can message. I think you can. I don't know a lot about TikTok. I mainly just got it to help advertise the stadiums. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and that it wasn't too confusing. Thanks for watching. Jake out.